Yep, there are a lot of videos on all these flashlights, but you get what you pay for is going to look at the value and see whether or not you can get away with this $20 light. Is this $140 light overkill? What does this one do that this one doesn't do, and why should you get this one? This seems like it's pretty heavy over for an EDC light. If you like this type of thing and you appreciate these flashlights all together in one video, it's not easy doing this and knowing all the technical stuff that is involved in all of these lights. Trust me, I've been mulling over the information for quite some time to be able to present it to you in a way that it's not confusing. So at this point, I would like you to like, if you like this type of thing, and subscribe to my channel. But stay tuned and I will go through each one of these and show you what they look like, comparison, size, weight, all that. All right, here we go. Okay, I figured we'd start off with the $20 Easy Carry Light by WUBEN. There she is. Now, it was in a plastic little sleeve. I just took it out of the sleeve to show you guys, and I fiddled with it just because I did that with all the lights. Is I took them out of the package, made sure they work, plugged them in, charged them, did all that stuff. It's not that big of a light. It's kind of thin, and I will give you, obviously, all the information for each of these lights will float across the screen and list down here as I talk about them. So here is the back plate. So we have, right here we have lock, light, and charge. So it's on lock. So lock, you can't, right? Nope, can't turn it on. So then we turn it on to light, and I don't want to blind you, but there you go. Turn it on, and then you can use the, there you go, you can see the dial changes the brightness. Pretty easy to use. Swivel this around. Pretty cool. That's one of the cool features of this light that I like. This swivel in light doesn't go all the way around, just goes all the way 180. Okay, so I'll point it away, turn it down a little bit. Okay, and then turn it off. So before I go into all the different functions for each one of these lights, what I want to do is I want to just look at the light and show you guys how this thing works. So now over here we have a tucked in pocket clip, and the pocket clip can be put on either side, and you pull it, so you pull this out, so this whole little thing on top here, it moves out. See, moves out, and then you can swivel this around to either side you want it on. And when it's here, it's tucked in and you're not using it. So that's when you're not using the clip, so you pull it out and you can have it on this side. And it is a very functioning, working pocket clip. Checked it out before I did the review for you guys. And then we can just pull it out and we can pull it over here. So you can put it on this side. There you go. Pretty cool. So that's another cool feature of this light. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you guys the unique qualities of each of these lights before I go into the whole, it's got this lumens and this beam distance and that, all that stuff. We'll do that outside. I just want to show you each one of these, unbox them, and compare them in size and weight. And when we go outside, hooks, there's a magnetic tail right there. magnetic, so you can just stick that. Oh, it's pretty strong too. So you can stick that onto something and it'll just hold your light up for you, like on your refrigerator if you're trying to, you know, get a midnight snack or something like that. So that is the main features of this thing. The other main feature is I'm just going to show you the kind of the light thing that's going on with this. So we put it on. This is charged, so you can see that's USB-C right there. And then this kind of just holds a cover over the top of that. And that's all you do is you switch that to charge it, and then it's just going to be hanging out like that. And then it's kind of in light mode, and that's lock mode. So light mode, and what I wanted to show you is if you double click on this dial up here, double click, it goes into our flashy modes. Okay, now with our flashy modes, the cool thing about these is we can do different things by changing the lights, believe it or not. Let's see if I can change. There you go. You guys can't really see that, the colors, but there you go. There's red, green. There you go, another flash here. So you got like a yellow or white and red. And then we have like blue and red. It's pretty cool. So that's another unique thing this thing has. And it has the beacon mode too. So on the beacon, I'll show you that outside. It's kind of cool seeing this thing just kind of doing its beacon thing out in the distance. So that will be in the dark. We'll look at that. So there's the WUBEN, and again, you can see in comparison to size. Let's just take this box. Oh, inside the box, I didn't show you. Inside here, you have your instructions, you have your USB, you have a lanyard, and you have a key ring. So that's all inside the box there. The light that I've been using and I like a lot is, and you'll see it in my videos, this has this glow-in-the-dark polycarbonate, and it also can take a battery in there if the charge runs out on the LiPo. So it's kind of versatile and unique and fun and has all kinds of stuff going on with it. If you want to see a video on that, go check it out. I'll put a link in the description for that. This is the WUBEN E5 Angel Eyes. So this is also a keychain type of light, same size, like, you know, as far as thickness goes. We're gonna, so the WUBEN G5 is similar to other lights on the market, but has its unique capabilities. And for $20, I think it has a lot. Now these things normally retail for about $45. I got it 45% off, so it was like $24 or $20, I don't know, it's close to that. But for size reference, there is the WUBEN E5 to the WUBEN. And we'll put that aside for now, and let's get out another light. Let's go the next one up in price. That would be this one. This is the OLIGHT, and this one retails for $49. This is the OCLIP Ultra. Again, there are lots of videos on this, so I'm not going to bore you with all of the technical stuff. There's tons of videos that can give you every detail. Guys drilling this with a drill bit and scratching it with a knife to prove how hard the surface is. But I'll just give you a couple, again, key features on this. and size comparison. Inside the box real quick before I forget. Down here you have, there's the plastic thing it came in. Thank you for being a part of the OLIGHT family. And it comes locked. So this is how to quickly unlock it. And then it shows you your charge indicator, red light blink, charging 0 to that percentage, which I can barely see because I'm blind, 95%. Green, charging completed, 95% to 100. There you go. So unlock it, and then it's ready to go. And then inside there you have your USB and your user manual. I'm going to leave it in. So here it is. Let's get a size comparison right away, because we got the two. There's from side, and this one has the cool clip, and there's the front and the thickness of them, and that's obviously a stationary light. And then we'll put the Rovivon next to it for size. You can see they're all similar in size, but they all have their unique capabilities. On with the show, yo. Okay, so this one here is pretty simple to use. It just has a dial in the back, and it's got these 3 settings. So you have your UV in the back. Look, there's your little charge light indicator. You got a green. So let's turn it on. Here's the UV. There's the UV. Okay, and then we'll turn on the next one, which is the spot. So the second one on the spot, and what you do is you just hold down to cycle through them. See, you can just one click to turn it off, one click to turn it on, and then hold it down to cycle through the powers. So that's your spot, and then one click forward on this little thing right here, click. See, we just went over, you see that on the top? Boom, and then we went over to flood. So there's our flood. Again, with all the stats and the sizes, they'll flow over here in the video. And now you have, go back to the spot and the UV, and turn it off. So what does this have that the other ones don't have? Well, it's got this shape. It stands freely on its own, any way you want it, which is kind of nice. This one here does stand up, and you can take your light and point it any way you want, but it's a little tippy. So, but the good thing is we can just point the light forward and put it down. So that's pretty cool. This one over here has a similar, we're going to be going all the way around. This one has a similar side light. Oh, we're on lock mode right now, so let me just unlock it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I didn't unlock it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go, green light. And now I'll turn on the side light right here. So this one, you can turn on the side and you have a light there, or you can put it up and that, but again, kind of tippy. There's a second light there. It's got 2 modes, and that turned off. This one here, so it's a little more stable all the way around. Kind of a special feature, but the coolest feature is the clip. So the clip cycled 10,000 times in testing. So that's going to last your fingers and your kids' fingers and their kids' fingers. It'll keep on pinching for a long, long time. 10,000 pinches. I don't know how many things can you pinch this to. Anyway, that's its special ability. Just like that movie, The Jerk. What's my special purpose? Nathan. He went out to find his special purpose. Well, this clip has rubber in there, so it's very grippy and it can stick to anything. The other cool thing is this is also magnetic. Remember we just tested the other thing? Pretty strong magnet. So is it as strong? Yep, it's definitely as strong as the WUBEN. So it can be stuck to things or clipped onto things, clipped onto your jacket while you're walking the dog, clipped onto the dog's leash, clipped onto the dog's collar, clipped onto the dog's ear. Ow. No, my dog wouldn't like that. Okay, so over here we have USB door, and it's a nice door. You know, some of those things, well, a lot of those things. This one is a nice door. See, it just closes. But these are the ones I don't really like, because it's like a living hinge, because it's a rubber thing that you have to pick out, right? You pick it out, and then you put the USB in, and it's always getting in the way while you're trying to put the USB in, then you tuck it in there, and hopefully it keeps the gunk out, right? Well, I kind of like this better. Just covering it up like that is nice, and OLIGHT has done it with this. It's really convenient. You can just open that up, and it's even like springy. So it opens and closes very easily, and it'll stay out of the way of the USB as you plug it in. Isn't that nice? Let me just get one. I can show you. So remember I was talking about going over here, and you got this, and you pinch this out of the thing, and then you see that's like kind of in the way right there. See, sort of in the way. Over here, dinka, open that, and then boom. There you go. Very cool, convenient, and way to go, designers at OLIGHT. Got to appreciate technical. My cat's in the background playing. I was wondering what that noise was. So you got to appreciate the guys over at OLIGHT for coming up with these cool things on their light. The difference between this one and the old OCLIP is this one is 30 more lumens. It is more square in profile. It has UV instead of a red light. So UV on this one. The other one had a red light for low light. And it worked similarly. It had the switch over here and the power button and the clip and all that. And the surface. So this aluminum that this is made out of, this is the actual nudeness. So that is not like a coating or anything, or a coloring. That is just the product. That is just how it comes out, and in production it comes out in this color. It's very, very hard. It's very, very scratch resistant, and it has all those cool ratings, IPX ratings. This one here, I'll tell you just right off the bat because it's in my hand. This one here, you can put this underwater, no problem. So it's completely waterproof. Where some of these other ones, that the IPX rating, like I'm not so sure. I'll look up the rating on this Rovivon, but I'm sure it's not as highly rated as this is. The WUBEN actually has an IP68, so that's good. So it can be underwater for quite some time, no problem. So it can hold its own. Even with that door there, you would think water would get right in there, but the USB itself might have a gasket inside around it to keep the water out. Okay, so we looked at this one's special abilities and capabilities. We showed you the sizes of that, and we are going to continue. Look at us, we're hitting 23 minutes already, and I'm only on the second light. Wowzers, I better hurry up. So let's go on to the next in price, which is the STREAMLIGHT WEDGE XT. This one's going to be kind of faster because it's just 2 buttons, 500 lumens. It comes in this cheesy packaging. Like, I don't like this packaging. So this is what it looks like. Here's the packaging, and this is like a sleeve that sits inside. And we have tail switch with lockout mode. You just go click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and hold the 5th, and it's locked out. And you do the same thing to unlock it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the 5th and it'll unlock. So there you go. This is the Stream Wedge XT, $80, 500 lumens, or 50. That's it. So you either got high or low, and there's no in between. And there's, look at the runtime. You either get 2 hours at 500 lumens, or you get 11 hours at 50 lumens. And your beam distance, 87 and 28. There's your candelas, and it can go underwater. See that? That's cool. It can be dropped from pretty high too. So 1 meter underwater, IPX7. USB-C charge, and like I said, 80 bucks. This kind of packaging, like I said, really bothers me. Okay, here's your instruction manual. It comes with this here, and I think it came with some, oh there, it came with this too, a little Allen key and a sticker. So that's what's inside that box there. Get this out of the way. And this is one of those 2-piecers. Here's your USB cord. You got your little lanyard on there. And here's the light. Boy, I'm making a mess over there. Okay, so USB, we don't need to see that. This is a little XT on it. Over there for a second. Off. Here it is. There's your USB. Look, no cover at all. Remember we were just talking about covers? That one has a cover. That one has a cover. Oh, I don't even know where it is. That one has a cover. This one has a rubber gasket. And look at this one. Wide open. But you'll see you guys on YouTube putting this right underwater and no problem. So this thing is good to go. And that's what the other side looks like. So if you guys are wondering about the design of this, the design of this is really based on an out the front knife. That's what they say. That's what I'm sticking with. That's my story. It sort of looks like an out the front knife. I'll show you one that's similar. I mean, this one here is really junky, but kind of get my point. It's sort of like, here's your light, and there's your grippies, and there's the light beam comes out the front, and so does your blade. This thing is a paperweight. That's all I use it for. Back to the light. Over here, we have deep carry pocket clip. So when that thing is in, say, for me, I put it in my pouch over here. Slide that all the way in, and it's not going to go all the way in over there because it's bottoming out down here, but if we put it over here, I can show you how deep carry it goes, and all the way down past the screws, right? Yeah, look. That's pretty deep carry. Of course, that would be in your pocket down there. Pretty cool. And the pocket clip works really, really well. It's flexible and very easy to slide in and out of jeans. Really cool. So this is your lock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Just unlocked it. You saw the green come on. And we have our one click is on, one click is off. Double click is your second level. 50 lumens, 500 lumens. 2 hours. What did I say? 11 hours, right? That's it. Tail light operated. Now, this is for the person that wants simplicity. You want a light that you just want to use and you need a lot of light and you can use it at its max. So the simplicity and the specialness of this is its tail switch, which is just bam, right in your face, easy to use. Lock it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. Put it in your pocket so you don't accidentally turn it on, waste the battery, and warm up your thigh. This is the STREAMLIGHT WEDGE XT. The other one was longer and bigger and had a switch, a dial switch over here. So you could point it and change the different levels with the switch right up front. This one, tail switch, and its cool capabilities, I think, for this is just simplicity of use and its weight. This thing is so light. It's 2.7 ounces, and the smallness of it when it's in your pocket and the smoothness of it, and this is clipped on, your hand rides right by that, and you don't even know it's there. That is a wonderful thing. Okay, so let's go to comparison, size comparison. There's the OLIGHT. OLIGHT, you can look at size here, and again, all the dimensions will stream across the screen, and there's that, and just go all the way around for you. And then we'll look at, say, compared to the WUBEN. The WUBEN's much thinner. You can see there. And let's take the WUBEN and make it a little bigger with the pocket clip. Put the pocket clip out for size comparison, and then the WUBEN. So it's kind of going like this, and size going, right? Anyway, there you go. We have 4 lights. Not really showing you this one. This one's just more size comparison. But we have 3 lights down. Let's go on to the next one. Nice meeting you. Thanks for joining Luke Gear on our journey of chasing the light. And then inside here you have your SK05 PRO. See, it doesn't say helm here, it says Pro. Now, first thing you're going to notice right when you guys get this out of the box, if you choose to buy it, and I will put links for all these things and Amazon links up there because I'm an affiliate, and if you choose to buy them, they'll help me out greatly and give me a couple of dollars or cents. Or maybe if you buy a whole bunch, I'll get a couple of dollars. Anyway, this one has some special abilities. There's so many of them, I got to go through them really fast. It's run by a dial. That's one of the things. When you turn the dial, it shows you the battery, power level, each time you go through. This is the lock. You see the lock. Then we have spot, we have flood, and then we have spot, and then we have your RGB. Now that's the other special thing for this. It has this, turn it on. There is RGB. I know it's really hard to see in this, but there is the natural light. If you were to be in the dark and you had this light going, you'd be able to kind of see without hot spots or anything. It wouldn't be blinding. We're going to show you that at night. I got to go on to the other functions. So you just turn the dial up here and it goes to the other light. Okay, this right there, obviously that's spot. And again, hold down the button to cycle through your power levels. Very easy to use. There's your spot. We'll see this outside. It's pretty cool. This one is 4360. So I'm going to go over to my, there's the floodlight. See, it's all floody. So it's 4360. And that's, you can't say it's a 4360 lumen light because you can't run both of them together. So it's fair to say that the spot is max at 1300 lumens and the flood is max at 3,000 lumens. So it's either a 3,000 lumen light or it's a 1,300 lumen light. And those both step down quickly. Like every other light out there, they get hot. Power management and heat management turns the light down and steps down. I'm going to go over all those details with you outside. But let's look at this, go around it. It looks really futuristic. This one, here's the back. So here's another cool thing. This one has a magnet, but beware. This is a very, very heavy light. I put this on my refrigerator and it fell on the floor from about 6 feet and landed right, where did it land? Yeah, right there. See? It like dented the top of it. See it? It's no longer flat. But that's all it did. So beware, the magnet is not that strong. I just cycled that over there. I'll put it on lock. This one also has a pocket clip. Not as deep. So you'd have this whole top sticking up there. And the top, actually, like I said, is magnetic. But it also houses something that most of these lights don't. It houses, look, see, inside here. We can pop this up. Bam. Now, if I can remember how to do this, I think you... Okay, we're going to have to pause for this for a second. Okay, we'll look at this little latching system right here. So when this, see the little arrow? When that is pushed forward, it's in lock mode. You can barely see it, but it has a little slide. And we slide that back, and then you push down on this arrow. So you push down, put your fingernail in there, and there you go. It has these awesome 4,000 milliamp batteries. 18 650s. Turn around so you can see it. So you can always just get new batteries. And this, that's the special feature. So when these are dead, you can keep on using this. With this one here, once the battery is cycled out, you can no longer use it. Once the battery is cycled out in this, you can no longer use it. Once the battery is cycled out in this, you can no longer use it. This one, because it's a Rovion and they thought of that, once that LiPo battery dies in there, you can always use the AAA battery on the side. So it's not disposable. All three of those are kind of disposable. So that's a cool feature for this light. Put your positives in. Positives mean positives go in first. Lock it. Check your power. There you go. Our power bar came on first. So the other special thing that this has, before I move on to the last light, because we're running out of time here because we're all going to die. No. Anyway, no, that's morbid. Anyway, we're running out of time. This one is also USB-C, but it has one of the funky rubber things you got to pick open. And let me tell you, getting a USB in there when you have one hand, so you got to hold that out of the way, stick the USB in, and charge. And now that, I believe, is keeping all the water, dirt, and debris out of there. If this is left open, I'm not sure if that's got a gasket behind it. So make sure you close that down before you go scuba diving. Now, this flashlight here has an IP rating of 68.2. So this can go in the water. One bad thing about NITECORE, which I'm going to show you, is its one drawback. It cannot go underwater at all. That is just a splashy flashlight. you know, raindrops or whatever. But all these lights that I showed you so far, I think even the Rovivon can handle a little dip in the pool. So this one has this kind of, you know, very futuristic. It's got finger holes down there. It fills your whole hand. And let's do a size comparison before we run to the next light. Okay, here we go, all the way down. And you can clearly see this thing is a beast. I left out one specific thing it has that none of these flashlights offer. One unique ability that it's going to stand out amongst all the other flashlights on the market. Its size. No, not its size. It is a beast. It's a big light. It's heavy. Move these out of the way. But you know what this does? This allows you to take this plug and it allows you to charge other things like your cell phone. So this is an 8,000 milliamp power bank. So that's the special ability of this. So if you guys are thinking, why should I get this? It's so big and it's so heavy. How heavy is this thing? 7.7 ounces. Did I tell you how light the Streamlight was? Yeah, I did. It's so light. The Streamlight's really light. The WUBEN is tiny. The WUBEN is only 1.84 ounces. The OLIGHT OCLIP Ultra is only 1.86 ounces. This one's even lighter. This is like 1 point something. I don't even know. I forget. But this one here, it's a brick. You heard me just clunk it down. So, but you're going to leave your power bank at home. You're not going to have, say, this with you. You know, you're gonna leave this at home, your big 20,000 or 10,000 milliamp battery. You're gonna leave that at home, and you're gonna have your flashlight. You're gonna have your multi-light over here that does all kinds of crazy things. I'm gonna show you guys. It's so crazy, all the lights. Here, I'll just go over there real quick. Am I locked out? Here, I'll put it on. So we'll go give you guys some demos for the lights here. Really fast. And I can change these individual ones. Their brightnesses can go up and down. And the colors. Okay. It's too cool at night. I gotta show you at night. So I know we're running around 40 minutes on this. This is a long video, but I hope you're staying with me because I gotta do one more unboxing for you. And that is the competition. The competition for this. Which one is it? Is this the one? Is this the one? Oh my God, they went head to head on YouTube, let me tell you. So let me open this baby up and show you what it looks like. This is good. So let's look at the box real quick. Max output, 8,000 lumens. Intensity, candela. We'll talk about candela when we're outside. 44,000 candela. And then our max distance, obviously that is when we're at peak lumens. And then we have impact, 2 meters. And I definitely dropped it pretty far and it did okay. And look, this is my disappointing thing I have to say. IP54. This little squiggly line in that arrow shows to me it can go underwater. It cannot. Do not put this underwater. Okay, that's the only down thing to this. Here's what's in the box. You have your NITECORE thingy. You have a cool lanyard. You have a tools, extra hardware, and you have cool USB-C cord. And let's look at the light. First feature is my fingerprints. No. There. Remove the fingerprints. First feature is logo. No. First feature is this. That's cool. So, locked out with just a flick of a switch. When you turn it on, it tells you right away what setting is on. And then you can actually cycle through, look, and you saw that as 99%. That's your battery level. Level 1, 15 lumens. Level 2, see, I'm not turning it on, I'm just changing it so you can preset your lumen level before you even turn it on. There's your next one. 400 lumens. And then 1500 lumens. So those are the base settings for this light. So what I was saying is this has lumen shields. So lumen shields gives you the ability with all those lights in there, those LEDs, gives this maximum crazy burst of 8,000 lumens. 8,000 lumens. So at 8,000 lumens, it'll send a beam out to its furthest distance, which was 420 meters, right? So, is it 420 meters? I forget. Anyway, outside we'll look at all that. Let's go over the coolness and the coolness factors of what this light has. Right out of the box, it's got some cool factors. It looks cool, it looks very futuristic. This is kind of heat dissipation up here around the lamps. You can see these venting. Then, of course, we just looked at that button. We got some kind of like handhold, kind of sort of jimping, like a pocket knife. And this is a tail light driven. We have your power and mode button. This is going to go through your modes. And then we have your panic button. Oh no, this is your, can go into your super high level lights. So I'm just going to hold this down, and that just got warm in my hand real quick. So when you hold it down soft, it is going to go into, yes. So this will first go into 3,000 lumens search. You just saw that, okay? So that is a soft tail touch, and then when you go in and you'll feel it's more of a depress. There you just see that 8,000, and my hand got warm really, really fast. So that's what that tail does, and it's programmable to do different things. We'll go over that later. I might touch down on that, but more, we're comparing it about its key features. There's tons of videos out there if you want to see every little detail about this light. Go check those videos out. I might do a little separate video about this depending on the feedback. So, taillight driven. Is it heavy? It's heavy. It's not as heavy as this though. This was 7.7, right? 7.7 ounces. And this one here, what are my notes telling me? 7 ounces. So they're close in weight. Now, why would you want something so heavy in your pocket when you can get this, which is an extra 0.7 ounces, and it's a power bank? Well, this one fits a little bit better in your hand than this. So I'm just going to give you the ergos quick. You can see the difference in size. They're almost identical in length. The thicknesses of them, you can see that the SK05 is massive compared. I shouldn't say massive, but it is definitely bigger. You're going to notice it in your hand, and you're definitely going to notice it if you're trying to put this in your pocket. So I'm just going to leave the SK05 right there for a second. Actually, so not to distract us, get my fingerprints off there. So why would you want this? Well, this one's unique things is it has, these are tungsten glass breakers, all 4 of them right there. So it has the ability to break glass at any one of those 4 points. Smash the glass. Do I have any glass to smash? No. But they also give you the hardware. If you do not want these points sticking out there, you can just put on the flat capped Allen keys. That was what I just showed you in the box. And they even give you a tool to do so. Pretty neat of them to do that. What else does this have? This has the kind of USB cover that's kind of flappy and kind of in the way, but at least it can hinge out of the way. But man, when you're trying to stick a USB in there and that's flopping, no, don't like that. That should be a cool door, I think. It should not be one of these rubber things. It should have a slide on it or something like that, I think. Either a slide like we looked at this, or something like this, like a door to come down and open up. That could be right there. You could put that little door in there, plop, plop. So, special abilities that this has. It has the glass breakers, and it has the tactical, blinding 8,000 lumens floodlight. So, it's got that, and it's got the searchlight of 3,000 lumens. So those lights aren't going to run for very long. This thing, and we'll go outside and I'll show you those. This thing gets really hot, but then Lumen Shield does the job, and it cuts the power down and lets the light cool down. And it has even a power indicator. Right there, I'll show you. We'll turn it on and let it get hot. See, there's the power remaining. So that power bar will diminish as you're holding down that high lumen 8,000. When that power bar is gone, you can't use it anymore until the whole system cools down. You can use the lower levels. The lower levels in the floodlight, the next one down is going to be 1,500 lumens. But guess what? 1,500 lumens, this thing will run for 7.5 hours. So that, I believe, it's like superpower is the length of time it can run at 1,500 lumens. That has got a 230 meter beam distance. So that, to me, is fantastic. You need your light to last a long time, and you need a lot of light on demand, and you need something that's going to be a hand warmer at the same time, because it will warm up your hands if it's chilly. So, special ability, locking out feature. Other special ability, tail tap on demand, crazy 8,000 lumens or 3,000 lumens. And then we have nice controlled tail button right over here. You can do it any way you want. It's easier when the tail button's down at the bottom when you're walking around with it. And then if you need to do the search, you're going to flip it over to this side and walk around like that. So let's look at size comparisons between the two again. And then I'm going to conclude this video to doing some nighttime B-roll outside, and you guys are going to see all these in action. So I hope you stay tuned for all that, because it's going to be really cool to see them all compared at night. And no one on YouTube has compared all these lights at once. So you can actually see, look at that one brought this one along. So you can actually see what they look like outside. Okay, so stay tuned for dark meets the light. Okay, we are going to start with the WUBEN. The WUBEN. Now, I'm going to show you guys a few things out here really quickly, because it's going to get light pretty quick. And right now, you're looking at the WUBEN dialed all the way up to its max. And the WUBEN doesn't have really a sweet spot because it's on a dial. So somewhere in between on that dial, it's going to last the longest. So this is the WUBEN, and I'm not going to show you the flashers out here at night because it really doesn't make any sense. Flashers I can show you in any dark area, but that is the WUBEN. And now we have the OLIGHT OCLIP, and that is spot mode, and I'm going to cycle through. That is the maximum spot, and here's the low spot on the OCLIP, and then medium spot on the OCLIP. It's pretty far out there in the grass, and then high spot on the OCLIP. So you can see the beam way out there on the trees. It's a pretty good beam. And then we just use the selector switch, and then we throw it into flood. That's max for the flood. And I'll go over the numbers once we go back inside. I just want to show you guys what they all look like. I got so many lights, I gotta go through them quickly. So, and then we have UV. That's the UV at night from the OCLIP. And back to spot. And cycle down, cycle up, and we'll go to flood mode, cycle down, there's flood, low, medium, and high. OCLIP out. Now we have the very simple STREAMLIGHT, which is just 2 clicks, which is 550. I'm going to turn it on first. Now it's on. This is low, that's 50, that'll run for 11 hours at that. And then this is 500, and that'll run for 2 hours. That's the STREAMLIGHT. That's it, super simple, and that's the light. Next we got the loop gear, and I'm just gonna cycle that on for you. Loop gear, there is the spot, and there is the flood. So spot, we'll send that out there, that beam, and I'll turn it up. Look at that. That is a very, very precise spot beam on the loop gear SK05. And we can cycle all the way up. Look at that. That is full power right there. And that's obviously low, medium, high, and low again. And then we will switch it to mode to flood, and then we have, this is all our power is in flood, and there you go, brought it up a level, and there's the other level, full power, and that is like 3060 lumens. There you go. And I'll show you guys the flashers. You can see up on the tree line there. It's very bright. One more light, guys. Okay, here comes the big daddy. There we go. We just cycled on the level 4, and that lasts for 7 hours and 10 minutes. Spot. That is a very cool spot, and this is the EDC 37. I'll cycle through. That is low, medium, high, and I'll show you guys what turbo looks like. Boof. Now that's just retarded light. Excuse my French. That is just super, super bright, and it lasts until it lasts, and it steps down to that. There you go. We got search and spot on demand, and then you have your different levels. There you go. And it's getting light out, so I'm going to turn this off and conclude outside flashlight. Okay, this is the final stage of this video where I tell you a little bit about what I just showed you outside. Now, I started off with the WUBEN G5, and as I stated, there's no real sweet spot because it runs on this dial, meaning like you can't just set it to one of the settings, like say here, we're going to go add a lockout, and then I can go through and put it on a setting, like I'm saying, 1500 lumens or the 400 lumens. That's the sweet spot. Either of those are going to run for about 7.5 hours. So that's what I'm talking about. Setting wise, with the WUBEN, there's no setting. So you can turn it on, and then you can dial it down to like halfway through the dial. So go all the way down. It blinks when it's all the way down, and it blinks when it's all the way up. See? And then you go like so, halfway. And you would expect that to have the longest runtime during, you know, the whole life of the battery. So you'd have to guess at the sweet spot on the WUBEN. So there you go. You just shut it off by putting it in a lockout mode instead of just shutting it off. That way you know it's off and locked. One of the cool features with all the lights with, you know, so say this is unlocked and it's on, right? And then we want to turn it off. To ultimately turn it off, you can just hit the lockout and it's off. So what I also wanted to say, okay, so moving from the WUBEN G5 that has no real definite sweet spot, just dial run, we go to the OLIGHT, and outside I showed you the spot and flood, right? But I didn't really tell you what the sweet spot was out there. The sweet spot though is this thing has a 100 lumen setting, which is like kind of like the mid-range, and you can put that on the flood, 100 lumens, and it'll run for 3.5 hours. That's what I consider the sweet spot for this one. And this one also, you can switch it over to the spot. Switch it over to the spot from the flood. And that sweet spot is 90 lumens, and it'll also run for 3.5 hours. So, you know, I didn't want to, it's hard, well, it's impossible to be outside and show you 3.5 hours of runtime without elapsed time cameras and all that stuff. So that's why I just ran through the settings and showed you what these all look like at night. So let's move on to the next one I showed you out there. And obviously this is the most simple and the most user-friendly, I would say, out of them all. The most complicated thing is the lockout, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, and it's locked out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, and it's unlocked. So this flashlight here, double click, and it has low, which is 50 lumens, and that's going to run its sweet spot at 11 hours. Up at the high, which is 500 lumens, that only runs 2 hours. So it's really simple to use, and that's why I kind of like this light. It's very, very, very sleek and light, and you just have the two modes. And so this is going to appeal, like someone shopping for a flashlight, to someone who just wants an on-off button and doesn't need all the bells and whistles that these other flashlights have. They just want it to be able to clip in and out of a pocket and sit in a pocket nicely, and this sure does that fine. It sits just like a OTF knife in the pocket. It's very similar in shape to an OTF knife. And do I have one of those right in front of me? Nope, I don't. But you get the gist. So we're going to move away from this light here. This was the STREAMLIGHT WEDGE XT, and that by far is appealing to the user that just wants an on-off switch and just has no step down, no nothing. That's another thing I didn't mention just before. No step down on this. It just runs at 50 or 500. So let's move on to the next one. Take these two out and take that out. So now I showed you, not now, early this morning when it was really dark out, I showed you this. And I put it in its different modes. There's lockout, and this is dial run for modes. So you have your flood and your spot, right? And in the flood and in the spot, it's got two different kind of power levels. But the sweet spot is what I really want to, talk about. And the sweet spot is the flood light on this. So the flood setting, we were outside, I showed you. The flood setting at 350 lumens will run 11 hours. So where that is in the mode, I believe it's in when you're in flood and you have your steps and you hold it down and it'll cycle through. It'll be like the middle level and it'll be about 350 lumens, 11 hours. The spot, switch it over to the spot, and the sweet spot there is going to be 220 lumens, and that'll also run for 11 and a half hours. So that's where I find, the important things, of course, are all the stuff that's on demand, like the maximum out there when I showed you is 3060 lumens coming out of, I believe, the flood. I'll have to check on that. Let me check on that right now. Is it coming out of the flood? Yes. So we've got 3,000, just over 3,000 lumens coming out of the flood on this. But the happy spot, which I was just telling you about, is medium in the spot and the flood on this. So medium is going to give you the 350 lumens and it's going to run for 11 hours. That's medium. The actual sweet spot in this one, because it's so powerful, so I have to say again, that was dumb. Okay, cut. The sweet spot on this is two different lights. So you have your spot and flood. The spot, sweet spot, is going to be 600 lumens, and it is going to definitely step down, but it's going to last you 3.5 hours. And that is at the high level. And then in the flood mode, high level is going to give you 950 lumens out of this baby. And it'll step down, but it'll give you 950 for 3 hours and 30 minutes. So that's the sweet spot on this. And that, remember, I told you, you just go into either the flood or the spot, and I will turn it on. Okay, let me just hold this down and go to the low. So right there, we are in, obviously you can see the dot, that's spot and that's flood. So in those two modes, at the high level, so here you go at the spotty spot, is going to be 600 lumens, 3.5 hours. That's the flood. Flood is going to be 950 lumens, 3.5 hours. And we're going to have the high. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a reference of the spot and the flood indoors here. So there's the flood, there's the spot, and outside in these two settings, the sweet spot would be high in the spot and that's 600 lumens running at 3.5 hours, and high in the flood, and that's going to be 950 lumens and run for 3.5 hours. So that's kind of the sweet spot in this baby, and it has all the other bells and whistles, but I like to just mention that. And again, the other thing about this is replaceable batteries, and it's a power bank. So let me just take this out of the way. For people that are looking at this light and they go, well, why should I buy it? Well, it's a power bank, and it's got replaceable batteries, so you could have a spare set of batteries fully charged and be able to put them in here and just have twice the longevity out of this thing. That is something that none of the other flashlights can do. So that puts this kind of on a pedestal about what is unique about it. Replaceable batteries, you can have a second set, and it is a power bank and it can charge other things. So there's that one. Then we're going to finish up with the NITECORE EDC37 and the sweet spots on that, which I can show you right here. That's the cool part, is referencing and talking about them. We can be up at 1500 lumens on the EDC37, and it is going to last quite some time. That's the beautiful part. We can go, I'll show you. So that's 400 lumens or 1500 lumens. Either one of those are going to run for, high at the 1500 lumens is going to run you 7.5 hours. And at the 400 lumens, right here, that's going to run you 8 hours, 30 minutes. Now you ask, what are the beam distances in here on this one? You know, because it's kind of important. This one's all about beam distance and power and all that, where this one is not so much, I don't think, about beam distance. It's about all the other functions it has. This one kind of really is about beam distance and the power on demand. So the beam distance at the high 1500 lumens is 230 meters. And the beam distance at the mid 400 lumens is 115 meters. So that's kind of like a key aspect of this baby, because you're looking at this flashlight and thinking about buying it, and you're like, well, what does it give me that the other flashlights don't? It gives you the on-demand crazy 8,000 lumens, and then the search on this is 3,000 lumens. So flood 8,000, search spot is going to be 3,000 lumens. That 3,000 lumens is a 420 meter beam. The flood is not so, obviously, not so far at 380 meters. But this baby right here, I think, is like, okay, this is a big boy and it's heavy, but it gives you the power bank ability, and it gives you the ability to change and have a second set of batteries. But wow, you'd be carrying a lot of weight around with you with this and a second set of batteries. This, nope, you can't charge anything with it as a power bank, but it has its special abilities, like the glass breakers up here that are installed that you can remove, and that on-demand power. And it's also a hand warmer because it gets quite warm, and in the winter time you can get this thing toasty and stick your hand in your pocket, turn it off obviously, stick your hand in your pocket and warm up your fingers. That's one of its little hidden special abilities, but other guys have mentioned that, I believe, how it can be a hand warmer for you. So that's the conclusion of my mini flashlight buyer's guide here. We did the WUBEN G5, we did the OLIGHT OCLIP ULTRA, we did the STREAMLIGHT WEDGE XT, and we did the, put this over here, Put them all in frame so you can see them. SK05 and the EDC37. I will actually have the specs of each one of these flashlights come in and clarify what I'm talking about. So at some point in the video, they will come in and we will examine these while I'm talking, and those stats will be floating in. So like and subscribe. Check out my other videos on my controversial folder versus OTFs. I'm getting into it on that and getting a lot of response. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.